Welcome to Wisdom and Wealth. Are you feeling overwhelmed by the stresses of daily life? Do you sometimes feel like your mind is a constant battleground, with stress, overthinking, and frustration constantly fighting for control? You might wake up already exhausted, feeling the weight of responsibilities, or find yourself haunted by past mistakes and anxieties about what the future holds. If so, you're not alone. Before we continue, if you are someone interested in discovering time-tested strategies for finding calmness, strength, and lasting peace, give this video a like, and subscribe to the channel for more life-changing insights. No matter what you do, true peace can seem just out of reach. But what if I told you that calmness isn't something you have to chase? What if it's something you can create from within? For thousands of years, Buddhist philosophy has held the key to inner peace, offering profound, yet practical, wisdom that can help you free yourself from the endless cycles of worry and suffering. These aren't just abstract ideas or theoretical concepts. They are battle-tested principles that monks, sages, and seekers have used over centuries to transform their lives. Today, we're going to delve into these principles. In this video, we'll explore several Buddhist rules that can help you release what drains you, silence the relentless noise in your mind, and finally embrace a life characterized by clarity, strength, and lasting peace. By the end of this video, you won't just understand peace as a concept, you'll begin to experience it as a tangible reality in your own life. So, I ask you now, how much longer will you allow stress and negativity to control you? Stick with me, and let's unlock the path to freedom together. Now that we've set the stage for this transformative journey, if you like what you're hearing, I encourage you to like this video and subscribe to the Buddhism Insights channel for more enlightening content. You can also share it with someone who needs it. We've still got a lot to get through, so let's jump right into rule number 1, let go of what you can't control. There once was a man who stood by a river, deeply frustrated by its wild and unpredictable currents. He shouted at the water, demanding that it flow in a straight line, that it be calm, and that it bend to his will. He wanted the river to obey his commands, to conform to his desires, and to reflect his own sense of order. But no matter how much he pleaded, argued, or demanded, the river continued its natural course, completely indifferent to his desires. Exhausted and defeated, he finally sat down by the shore, simply watching as the water moved effortlessly around rocks and other obstacles. In that moment, he came to a profound realization: the river was never the problem. It was his resistance to it, his unwillingness to accept its nature, that caused him so much suffering. Life is no different. We often waste valuable energy and emotional resources trying to control situations, people, and outcomes that are simply beyond our reach. We replay conversations in our minds, wishing we had said something different. We fear the unknown, desperately clinging to plans that ultimately fall apart, causing us even more stress and anxiety. Buddhism teaches us that true peace comes from surrendering to the natural flow of life. As the Buddha said, do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. Control is often an illusion. You can't stop the rain from falling. You can't fundamentally change how others behave. You can't undo the past. But you can control how you respond. The moment you let go of what you cannot change, you take back your personal power. You free yourself from the heavy burden of frustration, regret, and anxiety. By releasing the illusion of control, you become like the river, flowing, adaptable, and unstoppable. How often do you let small, uncontrollable things dictate your peace? The unexpected traffic jam that makes you late. The rude comment from a stranger. The unforeseen changes in plans. When you resist these moments, you inevitably suffer. But when you accept them with grace and equanimity, they lose their power over you. Imagine you are holding onto a rope very tightly. The harder you cling to it, the more it burns your hands, causing pain and discomfort. But when you simply release your grip, the pain disappears. This is precisely how attachment to control works. The tighter you hold on to the illusion of control, the more suffering you create for yourself. Remember, letting go is not the same as giving up. It is, in fact, making space for peace. Here's a simple practice you can implement immediately. The next time you feel frustration rising over something you cannot change, pause. Take a deep breath, and ask yourself, is this worth sacrificing my peace? If the answer is no, let it go. Redirect your energy towards something within your control, your mindset, your actions, your present moment. And if you found these teachings helpful so far, please like this video. Many of life's greatest burdens are self-imposed. We carry around unnecessary stress because we wrongly believe that we must dictate every single outcome. But what if you trusted the process instead? What if, instead of constantly fighting the waves, you learned to ride them with skill and grace? You would move with life, rather than against it, experiencing far less resistance and suffering. Buddhism teaches that attachment is the root of suffering. The more we become attached to how things should be, the more we struggle when reality inevitably deviates from our expectations. Instead, shift your focus to acceptance. This does not mean inaction or complacency. It means acting wisely and effectively, without clinging to specific results or resisting what is beyond your power. A tree does not fight the wind. It gracefully bends with it, surviving the storm and thriving afterwards. True peace is found in release, not in control, not in certainty, but in embracing the unknown with a calm and centered mind. So, what is one thing you can consciously release today? A man once journeyed into the mountains, driven by a relentless search for happiness. He believed that once he achieved wealth, recognition, and the perfect life, he would finally be at peace. He clutched his desires tightly, like a fist around precious jewels, determined to mold life to his will. But each time he grasped at something, a promotion, a relationship, a material possession, a specific goal, it never brought the lasting joy he so desperately craved. Instead, it seemed to slip through his fingers like sand, leaving behind only frustration, disappointment, and a deep sense of longing. One day, an old monk noticed him sighing in despair. The monk approached him and gently handed him a handful of sand. "Hold it tightly," he instructed. The man squeezed his hand shut, but as he did, he felt the grain slipping away between his fingers, no matter how hard he tried to hold on. Then, the monk said, "Now, open your hand." The man did as he was told, and the sand rested peacefully in his palm. "This," the monk said with a knowing smile, "is life. The tighter you cling, the more it escapes you. But when you loosen your grip, peace remains." How often do we trap ourselves in this very same cycle of wanting and striving? We expect people to act a certain way, careers to unfold exactly as planned, and love to meet all of our predetermined conditions. But when reality inevitably doesn't match our desires, suffering arises. Buddhism teaches that detachment is not about avoiding joy or giving up on ambition. It's about releasing the vice-like grip of expectations, creating space for peace and contentment to flourish. "You only lose what you cling to," said the Buddha. Think about the last time you experienced profound disappointment. Was it because things didn't go exactly as you had meticulously planned? Perhaps someone failed to meet your expectations, or life took an unexpected and unwelcome turn. The tighter we hold on to our desires, the more we struggle when they don't materialize in the way we envisioned. But when we practice detachment, we experience life as it truly is, rather than how we think it should be. This doesn't mean we should abandon our dreams, but it does mean we pursue them without becoming excessively attached to the specific outcome. A musician should play for the love of the music itself, not solely for the sake of fame and recognition. A student should learn for the inherent joy of growth and understanding, not just for the pursuit of a perfect grade. When we act with presence, intention, and authenticity, instead of being driven solely by the desire for external validation, we find true freedom. Ask yourself, are there specific desires or expectations currently causing you stress? What if you loosened your grip, trusting that life will unfold as it is meant to be? Imagine how much lighter your heart would feel, free from the constant weight of unmet expectations. Here's a practice you can try. The next time you find yourself clinging to a specific outcome, pause. Take a deep breath and ask, am I holding this too tightly? If the answer is yes, try consciously shifting your focus from expectation to acceptance. When we stop chasing, life often flows towards us more naturally. Let go, and you will discover peace. A young boy once found a wounded bird struggling on the ground. Its wing was broken, and it trembled with fear and vulnerability. He could have easily ignored it, walked past as so many others had likely done, but instead, he gently picked it up, wrapped it carefully in his scarf, and brought it home to care for it. Every day, he fed it, spoke to it softly and reassuringly, and gave it the time and space it needed to heal. Weeks later, the bird was finally strong enough to fly again. As it soared gracefully into the sky, the boy smiled, filled with a deep sense of satisfaction. Not because he had gained anything tangible, but because he had given something so valuable: kindness. Buddhism teaches that compassion is not merely an act, but a fundamental way of being. If you want others to be happy, practice compassion, it says. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. In a world where everyone seems to be rushing, where kindness is often mistakenly seen as a weakness, we often forget that the simplest gestures can profoundly change a life. A kind word, a moment of patience, a willingness to truly understand another's perspective, these are the very seeds of peace. True compassion begins with how we treat ourselves. How often do we readily forgive others for their mistakes, yet relentlessly hold on to our own? We speak kindly to our friends, yet criticize ourselves mercilessly in our own thoughts. Imagine a garden where you diligently nurture every plant, except for one. That neglected plant will inevitably wither and struggle. The same principle applies to ourselves. When we consistently deny ourselves kindness and self-compassion, we suffer. Think about the last time you performed a truly selfless act of kindness, expecting absolutely nothing in return. Was it offering a sincere smile to a stranger? Listening without judgment to a friend in need? Holding space for someone else's pain and vulnerability? These moments, though seemingly small, create ripples of positivity and connection that extend far beyond our immediate awareness. One act of kindness can inspire another, forming an endless wave of compassion and goodwill that spreads throughout the world. Now, ask yourself, how can you show more compassion to yourself today? Can you forgive yourself for a past mistake? Can you allow yourself to take a break without feeling guilty or unproductive? Can you speak to yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you readily offer to a cherished friend? Self-compassion is not selfish. It is, in fact, essential. When we treat ourselves with love, acceptance, and understanding, we naturally extend that same love to others. Here's a practice you can incorporate into your daily life. The next time you feel frustrated, whether at yourself or someone else, pause. Take a deep breath, and ask, can I respond with kindness in this situation? If the answer is yes, do it. Let compassion be your guiding strength, not a burden or a weakness. The world doesn't need more perfection, it desperately needs more kindness, and that starts with you. A wise old man sat peacefully by a quiet lake, watching the gentle ripples dance across the water's surface. A restless traveler approached him, visibly burdened by worry and anxiety. I can't find peace, the traveler confessed. My mind is constantly trapped between regrets of the past and fears of the future. What should I do? The old man smiled kindly, picked up a small stone, and tossed it into the lake. Watch, he said. The traveler observed as the ripples expanded outward, creating a series of ever-widening circles, before gradually fading away until the surface of the lake was once again calm and still. Do you see? The old man asked. The past is like that stone. It has already sunk to the bottom and cannot be retrieved. The future is like those ripples, always forming, but never fully here in the present moment. But where is your life actually happening? Right where your feet touch the ground, right here, right now. Buddhism teaches that the present moment is all we truly have. Yet, We spend so much of our lives either clinging to the past or anxiously planning for a future that hasn't even arrived. As the Buddha wisely stated, do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. The more we drift between what was and what could be, the more we miss out on what is. Imagine witnessing a breathtakingly beautiful sunset. If you are too busy scrolling mindlessly on your phone or worrying about tomorrow's to-do list, you will completely miss its radiant beauty. It will fade away before you can truly experience and appreciate it. Life is no different. When we fail to embrace the present moment, we fail to truly live. Do you often find your mind wandering to past regrets or future anxieties? How much of your valuable energy is spent revisiting old mistakes or preparing for potential problems that may never even come to pass? What if, instead, you fully immersed yourself in this very moment, this breath, this sensation, this experience? Practicing mindfulness doesn't mean ignoring your responsibilities or neglecting your future plans. It means being fully engaged with whatever is directly in front of you. If you're eating, truly taste and savor your food. If you're talking to someone, listen with genuine presence and empathy. If you're walking, consciously feel each step you take, connecting with the earth beneath your feet. The present moment is always here, patiently waiting for you to notice it. Here's a simple practice you can use to cultivate greater presence. Take a deep breath. Feel the air as it fills your lungs. Consciously notice your surroundings, the sounds, the sights, the sensations. Right now, in this very moment, nothing is missing. You are here, and that is enough. So, what is one thing you can do today to ground yourself more fully in the present moment? A young monk once asked his master, "Why do people always chase after more wealth, more success, more material possessions? Why are they never truly satisfied?" The master smiled knowingly and handed him an empty cup. "Pour some tea," he instructed. The monk poured diligently, but even as the cup filled to the brim, the master did not tell him to stop. Soon, the tea began to overflow, spilling onto the table and creating a sticky mess. "Master, it's full," the monk exclaimed in surprise. The master nodded slowly. "And yet, you kept pouring, just like people who keep chasing after more without ever appreciating what they already have." Buddhism teaches that true contentment is not found in accumulating more possessions or achieving greater external success, but in appreciating what already exists in our lives. The modern world constantly pushes us to believe that happiness is always just one step away, the next promotion, the next purchase, the next achievement. But the truth is that if we cannot find joy and gratitude in what we have right now, we will never find it in what comes next. As the Buddha wisely stated, health is the greatest gift, contentment the greatest wealth, faithfulness the best relationship. Gratitude is the antidote to endless striving. Instead of focusing on what is missing in our lives, it gently shifts our attention to what is already present. Think about the warmth of the sun on your skin, the delicious taste of your favorite meal, the genuine laughter shared with a loved one. These are life's true treasures. Yet, we often overlook them in our relentless pursuit of something bigger, grander, and seemingly more significant. Do you often overlook the simple pleasures in your life in pursuit of more ambitious goals? How often do you pause to appreciate a quiet morning, a deep breath, or the unexpected kindness of a stranger? Happiness does not exclusively exist in extraordinary or grand moments. It is hidden in the ordinary, waiting to be noticed, appreciated, and savored. Imagine your mind as a mirror. When it is clouded with insatiable desires and relentless striving, it distorts reality, making you feel as though something is always missing. But when it is clear, calm, and free from excessive attachment, it perfectly reflects the inherent beauty and abundance of life, just as it is. To cultivate gratitude, start small. Each day, consciously acknowledge 3 simple things you are grateful for. A warm cup of tea, a meaningful conversation, a moment of quiet stillness. The more you practice, the more you will realize that true contentment isn't found in acquiring more, but in appreciating less. So, what simple aspect of your life can you appreciate more deeply today? Pause, notice, and be grateful. That is the path to lasting peace. A weary traveler once arrived at a remote monastery, deeply troubled by the relentless chatter of his own thoughts. "My mind is restless," he confessed to the wise master. "It's constantly filled with doubt, fear, and anger. I can't escape them." The master handed him a bowl of water and stirred it vigorously, creating a swirling vortex. "Look inside," he instructed. The traveler peered into the bowl, but saw only chaos, distorted images, blurred reflections, and waves crashing against the edges. Then, the master gently set the bowl down on a level surface. Slowly, the water began to settle, gradually revealing a clear and undisturbed reflection. "This," the master explained, "is your mind. When you constantly stir it with negativity, judgment, and self-criticism, clarity is impossible. But when you allow it to become still, peace naturally emerges." Buddhism teaches that our thoughts fundamentally shape our reality. A negative mind will invariably see obstacles and limitations where a peaceful mind sees possibilities and opportunities. Yet, so many of us allow our negative thoughts to take control, replaying past mistakes, fearing the worst possible outcomes, and relentlessly doubting our own worth and capabilities. As the Buddha wisely stated, your worst enemy cannot harm you as much as your own unguarded thoughts. If we do not learn to quiet these negative thoughts, they will ultimately dictate our lives, clouding our perception, and creating suffering where there is none. How often do you find yourself dwelling on negative thoughts and emotions? How many times have you allowed a single bad moment to ruin your entire day? The mind often clings to negativity like a stubborn stain, replaying the same worries and anxieties over and over again. But what if, instead of feeding these thoughts with your attention and energy, you simply observed them from a distance, without judgment? Imagine each negative thought as a passing cloud drifting across the sky. It comes, but it does not have to stay. You are the sky, vast, expansive, and unshaken by the transient presence of these passing clouds. Silencing negative thoughts does not mean suppressing them or pretending they don't exist. It means recognizing them for what they are, temporary, fleeting, and ultimately powerless unless we choose to strengthen them with our belief and attention. The next time a negative thought arises, pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, is this thought truly serving me? If not, consciously choose to let it go. Replace it with a more positive, constructive, and empowering thought. Instead of saying, "I'm not good enough," try saying, "I am learning and growing every day." Instead of thinking, "Everything is going wrong," remind yourself that, "This moment will pass." A wise monk once said, "Do not let a single drop of poison ruin an entire well." Yet, we often do exactly that with our minds. We allow a single negative comment, a small mistake, or a past failure to poison our entire perception of ourselves and the world around us. But negativity, like ripples in a pond, only spreads and intensifies if we continue to stir the water. If left undisturbed, the ripples will naturally fade away, and the water will eventually return to its original stillness. Your inner peace is always there, waiting patiently beneath the surface of restless thoughts. The challenge is not to eliminate negativity completely, but to master the art of letting it pass without attachment. Start by practicing mindfulness. Each time a negative thought arises, acknowledge it without judgment, but do not allow it to consume you or take over your emotional state. Try journaling, meditation, or simply pausing to observe your breath. When you feel overwhelmed, gently return your attention to the present moment. Listen to the sounds around you. Feel your breath as it moves in and out of your body. Over time, you will realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the observer, the one who has the power to choose which thoughts to hold on to and which to release. You have the power to create a peaceful mind, but it starts with a conscious choice. Can you identify a negative thought pattern that you can begin to transform today? Let it go. Do not allow it to define you. Do not allow it to control you. Your mind is like a pond, capable of being either disturbed and turbulent or calm and serene. The choice is ultimately yours. Choose peace. Choose clarity. Let negativity drift away like a passing cloud. A young monk once approached his master with a profound question. "Why does suffering exist?" he asked. The master gently took him to a nearby garden and pointed to a beautiful flower in full bloom. "Look at this flower," he said. "So lovely, so vibrant, so full of life. Yet, soon its petals will inevitably fall, and it will eventually fade away." The monk looked concerned. "But why?" he asked. "Why can't it remain in this state of perfect beauty forever?" The master offered a gentle smile. "Because that's how everything is. Nothing stays the same forever. Holding on to what won't last ultimately leads to suffering. Finding peace comes from accepting the fundamental truth of change. Buddhism teaches that impermanence is a basic and inescapable fact of life. Everything, our thoughts, our feelings, our possessions, and even our very lives, is in a constant state of flux and transformation. Yet, we often resist this fundamental reality. We're afraid of losing what we have. We cling tightly to the past. We try desperately to control what lies ahead. But this struggle only brings us more pain and suffering. As the Buddha wisely stated, nothing stays forever except change itself. How often do you find it difficult to accept change in your own life? Perhaps it's the loss of a loved one, the end of a relationship, or the inevitability of growing older. Maybe you cling to past memories, desperately hoping that things could somehow go back to the way they were. But the more we resist the natural flow of change, the more we suffer needlessly. Think of trying to hold on to water in your bare hands. It slips through your fingers no matter how tight your grip. Life works in much the same way. Impermanence is not something to fear or resist. It's something to embrace and even welcome. When we accept that all things must eventually pass, we begin to truly value and appreciate the present moment. Instead of fearing the end, we enjoy what we have while it lasts. Think about the changing seasons. Each one arrives and eventually departs, yet we don't mourn the end of summer or actively resist the arrival of winter. We simply enjoy the unique beauty and characteristics of each season as it comes, knowing that change is an intrinsic part of the natural cycle of life. Imagine how different your life could be if you truly and deeply accepted the reality that everything changes. The small frustrations that once occupied your mind would gradually lose their power over you. The things you're most afraid of losing would be met with thankfulness and appreciation instead of worry and anxiety. You'd live with a profound sense of calm, knowing that each precious moment is valuable precisely because it is fleeting and impermanent. Next time you notice yourself resisting or fighting against change, pause and take a deep breath. Remind yourself that this moment, too, will eventually pass. The pain you're feeling now will eventually soften and fade. The joy you're experiencing will eventually transform into new experiences. The things you're holding onto so tightly will eventually drift away. Not because life is unkind or unfair, but because life is always in motion, always evolving, always moving forward. Begin to practice letting go. Be grateful for what you have without needing it to stay forever. Love freely and unconditionally without holding on too tightly. Enjoy each experience as it unfolds without fearing its eventual end. When you stop fighting against change, you start moving with life instead of resisting it. And in that effortless movement, you'll discover a deep and lasting sense of peace. Can you think of something in your life that you've been scared to release or let go of? What might happen if, instead of clinging tightly, you simply accepted its changing nature? Life is like the turning of the seasons, always shifting, always flowing. Rather than gripping tightly, learn to move with the wind, and you will find true freedom. Here's a quick summary of the 7 rules we've discussed today. Let go of what you cannot control. Most of our suffering comes from trying to control what is inherently uncontrollable. Free yourself by surrendering to life's natural rhythm, like a river that gracefully bends with every curve in the landscape. Embrace the present moment. The past is over. The future is uncertain. The only moment that truly exists is right now. The more you anchor yourself in the present, the more calm and clarity you will experience. Practice kindness and compassion. A heart filled with kindness has no room for suffering. Being gentle and understanding with both yourself and others clears away negativity and brings a deep and lasting sense of peace. Release strong desires and rigid expectations. The more tightly you hold on, the more pain you will inevitably feel. Real freedom comes from releasing fixed hopes and welcoming life exactly as it is. Cultivate gratitude for the simple things. Joy is not found in acquiring more, but in truly valuing what you already have. A calm and contented life starts with a thankful heart. Quiet the negative voice in your mind. Your thoughts have the power to either pull you down or lift you up. Train your mind by consciously replacing fear, doubt, and negativity with thoughts of peace, gratitude, and purpose. Accept that life is always changing. Nothing remains the same forever. Clinging only brings suffering. When you welcome change as an inevitable part of life, you gain the strength to live fully and without fear. Most pain doesn't originate from the outside world. It comes from within our own minds. We cling to what has already passed, we fear what hasn't happened yet, and we chase after desires that will never truly satisfy us. But peace isn't something you find out there in the external world. Peace is a choice you make, moment by moment, from within. What if, today, you let go of just one burden, one worry, one expectation? Picture the weight lifting, making room for something infinitely better: stillness, understanding, joy. This is the essence of Buddhism, not running away from life, but fully waking up to it. You only truly lose what you cling to too tightly. Life passes quickly, like a candle flickering in the breeze. Rather than fighting against change, welcome it with open arms. Rather than waiting for peace to come to you, become peace itself. Your journey starts right now. If this video has given you a sense of clarity, please give it a like and share it with someone who could use a little more peace and wisdom in their life today. Share your thoughts and reflections in the comments below, and subscribe to Wisdom and Wealth for more calming Buddhist insights on living with peace, clarity, and abundance. Thank you for joining me on this journey. May you find peace and fulfillment in every moment.